Hello, welcome back to Math Success Seminar online. I'm going to talk to you about changing words into math. It is possible, I swear. First, we're going to talk about common phrasing, and then we're going to talk about how that relates to algebra and actually figuring a problem out. So, addition, I separated everything into its symbols. So, plus could also be referred to as add, sum, gain, more, increase, uh, wording like that. So if I say I add 2, you know in your head, okay, plus 2. Or if I said I gained $50, you know that would be a plus $50. For subtraction, it could be called subtraction, the difference, less, less than. So I listed these two because they're very important. This less than is going to come up pretty soon. But basically difference, less. So if I say 4 less 2, yeah, the wording there is kind of weird. 4 less 2 would be like 4 minus 2. But if I say 4 less than 2, then that means you start with 2 and you take away 4. So then kind of switches the order. Again, I'm going to talk about that more when I actually write sentences out. For multiplication, we have multiply. It's also called the product. So maybe it'll say like the product between 3 and 5 would be 3 times 5, 15. Or you'll say 3 times 15, or sometimes it just tells you what to do with it. Here it says quadruple. So if I say quadruple 2, so you have 2 and then you quadruple it. 2, 2, 2, 2. So you have 8. And finally, the division symbol. It's called, you either can refer to it as divide, the quotient between, the ratio between, or shared equally in groups of blank. If I say 2 is in a ratio with 3, that's like 2 over 3. Or 50 is shared equally among 5 people. 50 shared equally among 5. So these are common phrasing. There's more phrasing than this, but I feel like these are the big ones. Really, whenever you read a sentence and you have to change it into math, you want to think, what is it actually asking me to do? Because you got to know the problem before you can figure it out. So another thing that I didn't talk about yet is a number. Anytime you see a number, this is referring to the variable, which is usually x. It could be any letter that you like. What's your favorite letter? That's your variable. X, Y, Z. I'm going to go with lambda because lambda looks cool. But problems like these are going to look like a number added to 7 is 12. A number added to 7 is 12. So you want to think about what pieces you have. Just like our algebra problems before, you always want to start with what pieces you have. So here's a piece, a number. This is going to be important. Added to 7 is 12. So we have 3 pieces, a number, 7, and 12. How are they interacting? Well, these two are interacting by adding to each other. A number added to 7 is always equals 12. And now this is a one-step algebra problem that you can solve fairly easily. We have x plus 7. So how do we undo addition? Subtraction. Subtract 7, subtract 7. So x is 5. Now onto tricky ones. Tricky. Remember I mentioned that than. So 10. This one I'm not going to do an equal sign. This is more of, if there's no is or equals or phrasing like that, that tells you there's a result, or results in, yields in. If there's no phrasing like that, you don't have to worry about writing an equal sign. But you always want to start the problem by thinking, what pieces do I have? And here we only have 2 pieces, 10 and 15. How are they interacting? They're interacting by this phrase, less than. I have 10 less than 15. Anytime you see than, you really want to switch the order. You know less means subtraction, but 10 less than 15, even in the English language, is weird like that. Because if I say 10 less than 15, that assumes that I started with 15 and I'm taking 10 away from it. So 10 less than 15. And then you can simplify this if you need to. Sometimes you just write it out and it's fine. Actually, for this type of problem, it might just be change this phrase into math. Boom, changed it into math, we're done. So now, let's switch it up. Let's say 10 less than a number is 6. Or let's say results in. Results in 6. So 10 less than a number, that means we're starting with a number. Remember, this is a piece now and this is a piece. So 10, a number, and 6. How are they interacting? These two are interacting by less than. Than means you switch the order. So we're starting with a number. We're taking 10 off. Results in, that has to be an equal sign. Results in, ends up as, yields in, phrasing like that. 6. And now we have to figure out what number this is. So now we go back to the one-step algebra mentality. What is the goal? We want to get this guy alone. But this 10 is hanging out with it. It doesn't like that 10 there. How do we undo this negative 10, or how do we undo subtracting 10 from it? That means we have to add 10 on both sides. Add 10, cancels out. 6 plus 10, 16. So typically when you see these for Math 910 in specific, the phrasing is going to be small. They're not going to give you like huge problems for it, but still it's good to know how to translate those into math. That way you can carry the math out. And usually there are problems like this where they want you to write an algebra problem. And what's the difference between algebra and an expression? Well, algebra has an equal sign, meaning it can have an answer. If there's no equal sign, you just simplify the lowest terms and that's it. You have to just leave that piece there. So there are more phrasings and more I guess keywords to look out for, but those, I feel like those are the big ones. So hopefully that'll get you rolling on how to change words into math, right? Everybody says, "Oh, I'm not a math person, I'm an English person," or "I'm an English person, not a math person." Well, here there's both. There's English and math. Something for everybody. But I'll catch you next time.